be some additions or what have you, and or changes. All right, please be seated. All right, Joe.
Oh, they just here.
No, she's over here.
I have previously entered exhibit number 13. It's being passed to Detective Gish. Detective Gish, can you take a look at that item and identify whether or not you recognize it?
I do.
And what is that item?
This is Jaborian McKenzie's iPhone that was seized by Detective Mayo and given to me for forensic analysis.
And what, if anything, did you do with that item?
The same thing, the exact same process as I did with the other three phones we've discussed. Went in to look for any images or videos that could have been taken. Did not find any. Went in to look for any images or videos that may have been deleted and didn't find any either. Nothing in the camera roll on this phone. I did recover some normal data like call logs and text messages and whatnot.
And again, you looked through the camera roll, looked through the same database. Did you find any thumbnails related to this incident?
No, there were no thumbnails on here of the incident.
And I don't believe the witness needs that item any longer, but if he could be passed previously entered exhibit number 17. Detective Gish, do you recognize the item that was just been passed to you?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And what is that?
This is an Apple MacBook Pro laptop that was seized pursuant to a search warrant from Mr. Vandenburg.
And could you describe what, if anything, did you do to analyze that device?
Yeah, this device, much like the phones, I copied the data out through a forensic imaging process. I removed the hard drive from the computer and then imaged that hard drive, put the hard drive back in the computer, and then worked off of my exam machine on all of the data from the hard drive. Knowing how phones operate, I mean, one thing that I was looking for was Vandenburg's phone plugged into this computer and maybe images or videos were synced back and forth. Did not find that happened. So I started recovering other artifacts during the time frame or around the time frame, and I started looking at the internet history. If I remember correctly, all of the internet history had been deleted off of the laptop,
And what does that mean, say the internet history of been deleted?
Well, the user can delete their internet history pretty easily. It's pretty simple. Or the browser can be set up to delete the internet history automatically. So what it really means is that Excel spreadsheet that we were talking about as an example of holding all the internet history in the different rows basically can get deleted and reset to new internet. And that's what I found out, is that either the user or the system deleted the internet history and it wasn't recoverable. But I did find another artifact that's proprietary to Apple and its operating system called web page previews. It's really the same thing as an internet history. It just doesn't have all of the words under the title that we saw. It has a picture of the actual website that was accessed by the user. And Apple implemented this around this same time in their browser called Safari. Windows uses their primary browser as Internet Explorer. I'm sure we've all used that, or Mozilla. But the proprietary internet browser for Macintosh or Apple is the Safari browser. So they're always making advancements in their tools, all computer companies, to make things easier to use. And Apple came up with putting something in their browser called Top Sites. So there's a tab under the Safari browser that you can click on that says Top Page or Top Sites. Like if I open my Safari browser, hit Top Sites, it actually shows me a thumbnail images of web pages that I've visited in the past. Even though that's not internet history, and the internet history on this machine was deleted, these weren't deleted, and I was able to recover these thumbnail images of internet access from the Safari browser.
And did you locate any of this internet activity during the time of the timeline that you previously testified?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, as I've stated throughout my testimony, I mean, the important timeline that I was looking at right off the bat, of course, is when they went in the room at 2:38 until 3:11, when pretty much everybody left that room. And I found some web page previews of pornography sites that were accessed during the time they were inside of that room.
Your Honor, at this time I would ask the witness be handed a 4-page document for reviewed again in defense counsel previously.
Trade you.
Detective Gibbs, do you recognize the 4 pages that were just handed to you?
Yes, I do. This is pages of the web page previews that I was talking about earlier. So instead of the title screen where you were in internet, it shows an actual picture of the web page that was accessed. And these are 4 of them that I found during that time frame dealing with adult pornography.
Your Honor, at this time I ask that that 4-page document be entered as the next numbered exhibit, which I believe would be 39A through D.
Correct, yes.
And I would also ask permission to publish that to the jury.
All right.
Detective Gish, could you identify what is shown in this image?
I can, and I think it's important to note too that this is not done by the user. These are created just like the internet history. The computer does this on its own. So the user probably had no knowledge that these were being created. The name, of course, whenever this snapshot is taken by the operating system automatically, is given a name. And we see the name up there starts with BED. I'm assuming that's just an arbitrary name that the computer assigns this web page preview, and that's the name of the picture. The second,
Let me mention something. I think it's probably been redacted somewhat. Certain things have been blacked out. Those are just redactions that not need to be shown. All right.
And are we projecting testimony about what has been redacted? We were projecting testimony about what has been redacted.
All right.
Yes, sir. The second line there, if we look on the screen, it says full path. Computers and phones deal in folders and structure. That's just the way it works. You can have a folder, and then you have a subfolder, and then another subfolder. Well, as we go down this path, we can see where it was recovered. That is the path of where the computer stores these images after it takes them for the user. So if we travel down that path, we see the first part of the path, the CFL 13-62, that's my entry. The LTO1, again, that's my entry of my naming structure in the lab to name the device. But then we get to one customer. That is the hard drive name of the where it was recovered. Then the Apple HD users. The main user account on the machine was named Rod Perez. Then the next folder is library, caches, com.apple, and as we get all the way down through this, we see web page previews is the last folder, and that's where the system stores these previews. And then below that, we see the file created time. And the file created time is listed in Central Daylight Time, so it's -5 hours from GMT. I did check the computer, and the computer was set to Central Daylight Time, so that timestamp is correct. And we can see that this search was completed on 6/23/2013 at 2:47:55 a.m. within the time frame of the 4 individuals and the victim being in the room.
And the next image, which is 39B.
This is the same sort of web page previews. I'm not going to go through the name because it's arbitrary. The full path, and then we see this page was accessed on 6/23/2013 at 2:53:03 in the morning.
And the next image, which is 39C.
This is, again, is an adult pornography site, xnxx.com. It was created on 6/23/2013 at 2:53:15 a.m.
And the fourth image, which is 39D.
Again, this is a web page preview, and this site was accessed within that time frame as well of them being in the room, and it was 6/23/13 at 2:53:20 in the morning.
To take a dish, at this point in the investigation, after you located the images on the phone, you testified that you located some content and messages, but what was the next major step in the investigation?
Well, I testified earlier that whenever I first did the forensic examination of the digital data on Vandenburg's phone, I'd seen that there were, within the time frame of 2:38 to 3:10, I had seen numerous phone calls being made while the victim and the suspects were inside of the room. I'd also seen references to rape in Vandenburg's iMessages and references to FaceTime, and the content of these messages appeared to me that whoever was receiving these messages saw either a video or an image with the references to rape. So immediately we identified at least 2 of these individuals that made phone calls either to or from Brandon Vandenburg. And these 2 individuals were named Miles Finley and Joseph Quiznio, or Quiznio. And what I found out through the investigation is that these were 2 former teammates on football of Brandon Vandenburg at a school in Palm Desert, California, named College of the Desert, and that they were friends of Mr. Vandenburg. So during this whole investigation, myself, Detective Mayo, and Sergeant Shreve, we worked many, many hours in getting to the point where we are now. And through the investigation, we had many opportunities to talk to our command staff. And it was decided that Detective Mayo and myself, from Chief Steve Anderson, that we should travel out to California and for two reasons. Number one, to interview these two individuals because they, at this time, appeared to be witnesses of a rape that occurred inside the dorm room. And number two, to conduct search warrants on the mobile devices and electronic devices of these two individuals, because from the content of the messages, it appeared that Vandenburg had sent video out to more than just two people of Chris Boyd and Austin Carter Samuels. It appeared that these other two individuals also saw the video, and that would be Miles Finley and Joey Quisneo. So Chief Anderson approved us to go out there. We flew out to California on July the 23rd, made arrangements to meet the Riverside County Sheriff's Department in California and met with a group of detectives out there.
And did you execute search warrants on the devices of Mr. Quincy and Mr. Finley?
We did.
And when were those search warrants executed?
25th, July the 25th of 2013. One search warrant was completed at Joey Quisno's home. The second search warrant was completed at Miles Finley's home. And Detective Mayo and I, in Riverside County, there we recovered several devices, electronic devices from each location.
I'm going to ask the witness be handed an item.
Yes, ma'am.
Detective, do you recognize that item?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And what is that?
This is the MacBook Pro laptop that I seized from Mr. Quisneo's bedroom at his residence on the 25th of July 2013.
And what, if any, analysis did you perform on that device?
I performed a computer forensic analysis, digital analysis on the hard drive inside of this computer, as I did with Vandenburg's laptop.
And your computer forensic analysis of that laptop, did you locate any photographs or videos of the sexual assault?
I did.
Your Honor, at this time I ask that the MacBook computer belonging to Joseph Quincio be entered as the next numbered exhibit.
Okay, well, the 4 web pages have not been.
Where's the 39?
They have been.
She entered them as 39A through B, right?
Yes, Your Honor, and I apologize, I think because I've asked that the witness retain elements.
Okay,
Not
well,
making it into-
that would then make this exhibit number 4.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would also ask that this witness be handed a disc as well as a 3-page document, which again has been
Judge, can you see the
previously
3-page document?
shown to the defense counsel. Handed a 3-page document as well as a disc. Do you recognize those items?
I do.
And what are those items?
Well, the disc contains, it's the disc I prepared, and it contains 3 of the videos that I recovered off of Joey Quisno's computer. And the accompanying 3-page document is the EXIF, or the metadata report from each one of these videos. I explained that a little earlier. I'm probably going to get into it a little bit more here in a bit.
Your Honor, at this time, I ask that those 4 items be entered as the next number exhibit, with the 3-page document being A, B, and C, and the disc being D.
All right, that is 41.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, may I publish these items to the jury?
All right.
No, it's okay.
Do you need?
I'm probably okay. It's big.
You mean the writing is large?
Yeah, on this one. Yeah, I blew this one up. Thank you, sir.
Detective Gish, can you see the information on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
This is previously entered Exhibit 41A. Could you describe what is shown on this image?
Right. I got into XF information just a little bit ago, but just really quick. Whenever you take a video or whenever you take an image, that image is taken and stored to the media of the card, but also written to the file, to that video at the time, is this information, and it's stored inside of the file. So if I was to take a video inside this courtroom right now, and let's say I texted it to my wife, then she would be able to look at this metadata inside of that file and see that I took it from my iPhone 6, that I took it at 4:20 p.m. So this is really information that's stored inside of a picture or a video when it's taken. So we can see the complete name up at the top. We see that it's named image, or IMG underscore 1398.mov. Now, that's important for a big reason, is that was the sequence gap that was found in Mr. Vandenburg's phone. So 1398.mov was one of the missing images that was taken, or videos that were taken during the time frame. We see the format, which is MPEG-4. It's QuickTime, which basically says it was taken by an Apple device. The duration there is 12 seconds. And
I didn't hear you.
And we have it in chambers.
All right.
And then we take that out.
You want it now, right?
Yes, please.
All right. Each side get 2.
Detective Gish, if you could continue describing the information on this document.
right, and then so we see that the duration is 12 seconds and 753 milliseconds of that particular video. Then we go down and we see the recorded date right here. The recorded date says it was recorded on 6/23 of 2013 at 2:35 in the morning, and we already see the offset is provided on the phone, so that's the correct local time. It was taken at 2:35 in the morning on the 13th, which was just about 3 minutes before they walked into the room. We'll see that the encoded date there and the tag date, that's the timestamp that is listed in Universal Coordinated Time. and we see that the 6.1.3, I'm pretty sure that's the operating system of the phone at the time. We can see that the make of the phone that created this video was an Apple, and the model of the phone was an iPhone 4S. Not only does the image file name fit in the sequence gap of the missing images from Vandenburg's phone, the make and model is the same exact as well.
Detective Gish, you testified that you recovered the video that the ex-IF data corresponds to, and that was part of what was on the disk that was entered into evidence. I'm going to play the IMG_1398 video file. You could describe generally what's shown.
My phone is motherfucking dead right now. My phone is motherfucking dead.
Well, in that video, that appears to be the same. It appears to be video that we see taken by Mr. Vandenburg from the surveillance video before they went in the room. The victim's laid outside, right outside of the elevator there. We see the white piece of paper on the floor, just as we saw in the surveillance video. We saw Mr. Banks taking pictures of the victim's vagina area, and I saw Mr. Vandenburg laughing and
And did you view this video in this format only during your investigation?
No. In order to identify different pieces of evidence, especially in a short video clip, it makes it easier to identify things if you can slow the video down. So instead of running full speed, slow it down a little bit so you can really pay attention to what's going on. And I believe it was 50% speed that I made the video in, also a 50% slowed down to 50% speed.
And Detective, I'm going to play the video as you just described it at 50%. Detective Gish, there's no audio. Could you explain that?
Right. When I slowed the video down, it would, of course, slow the audio down as well, so we would get garbled. It basically sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher.
Detective Gish, you just testified about the timing of this video that referenced the surveillance video. Have you viewed those portions of the surveillance video during this investigation?
I have. I actually went through the surveillance video clip of what we see in that hallway and paused at a certain point, and it matches up exactly to the second of the time frame on the phone. So the timestamp from the surveillance video at Gillette Hall inside Vanderbilt and the phone time exactly the same.
Detective Gish, I've just placed what has been entered as 41B on the screen. Could you describe what is shown here?
Yes, ma'am. We see this file at the very top, the complete name. We see the name of that file is IMG_1400.mov. So that is the name of the file that was received by Joey Quizno in his iMessages. That file name, 1400, also fits in the sequent image gap of deleted images and videos from Vandenburg's phone of the time frame. We can see that the recorded date on this phone, on this clip rather, is 6/23 of 2013 at 2:40 in the morning, just roughly 2 minutes after they walked into that room. We already know that the surveillance camera timestamp and the phone timestamp are precise. They're on. We see this is a 6-second, almost 7-second video, 6.9 seconds. It was also created from an Apple iPhone 4S.
And to take a guess, I'm going to play the corresponding video. Detective Gish, again, is this the speed at which you viewed the video during your investigation?
No, 50% is what I viewed it as. And on this video, we see Cory Batey right there sexually assaulting and raping the anus of the victim.
Yeah, that's a determination to be made by the jury.
Okay. It appears that Cory Batey is sexually assaulting the victim. He had his hand pressed inside of, appeared to be his finger pressed inside of her anus so hard that you can see the two fingerprints that are still left on her left butt cheek there. I believe we also saw Brandon Banks in that video. Her underwear, of course, are pulled down, and we heard quiet laughing.
Detective Gish, this is the third document of XIF data, which is 41C. Could you describe what is shown here?
Yes, ma'am. Again, the file name of this video is on the right side. As with the other two, this was also recovered from Joey Quizno's iMessages from his MacBook Pro. The file name is img_1401.mov. It's a QuickTime movie. The file size is 6.9 meg. It is a longer video. This one is that 41-second video, 41.5-second video that we saw the thumbnail of. And it was recorded, again, roughly 2 minutes after they got into the room, 6/23 of 2013 at 2:40. And I had them enter in the room at 2:38 on the surveillance video. It was also taken from an Apple iPhone 4S.
I'm going to play the third video file. Detective Gish, again, did you view this video in a slowed down speed?
Yes, ma'am.
No, we would object it being played at 50%
Well,
speed.
yes, it's been played, so I think that's enough.
Detective Gish, you viewed the video in the 50% speed, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And could you describe what is shown in the video and what information was related to the investigation?
Sure. When I first started looking at the video, when the video starts or there through the, you saw the video, so you see that the phone is in Brandon Vandenburg's hand, because when he points the phone down, we see his blue jeans and his shoes that he was wearing in the surveillance video. We hear laughing, the cutting up. I hear Brandon Vandenburg say, "I can't do this, dude. I can't."
Check the recommendation of the board without a foundation being laid.
All right.
Detective Gish, have you heard Mr. Vandenberg's voice before?
I have.
And could you describe when you've heard his voice?
The interview from Detective Mayo and Sergeant Shreve that was conducted on the 27th or the 27th at Vanderbilt University.
And are you familiar with his voice?
I am.
Did you recognize his voice on that video?
I did.
Your Honor, I ask that he be allowed to
All right,
describe it.
foundation's been laid.
Thank you. If you could.
So, right. So I hear Brandon Vandenburg say, I can't do this, dude. I can't even do this right. And it appeared that he was saying that to Cory Batey because when the video first starts, we see Brandon Banks leaning over the victim and he's got a water bottle inserted into his anus. That's when Brandon Vandenburg, I hear...
We object to the speculation about what he appears to be doing and that the bottle is in the anus.
Right.
That is a foundation for someone else to make.
Right. You can say what appeared to be.
It appeared that the bottle was in her anus when the video started, and Brandon Banks had his hand on the bottle, and Brandon Banks was twisting the bottle, what appeared to be twisting the bottle inside of what appeared to be her anus. And then I hear Brandon Vandenburg say, see and hear Mr. Banks squeeze that bottle. After this, that's when the video camera pans around. You can see Vandenberg's pants and his shoes matched up from the surveillance video. It pans back over. Somebody says, let's go back to tin roof. Hey, do you guys want to go back to tin roof? And then it pans back over to the victim who's laying on the ground. And it appears to me that Cory Batey has...
You object to what appears to him. He can say what he sees on the video, but about his conclusions about what he sees are not relevant.
I mean, it's saying what he appears to be seeing. So you could say what you appear to be seeing.
And it appears to me that Cory Batey is having sex with the victim because it appears that his penis is in his hand and when he backs up from the victim. And that's when I hear Brandon Vandenburg say, dude, you ain't...
Detective Gish, you have testified related to the file names of the video files that you recovered from Joseph Quinzio's laptop computer. Can you describe, were those files on the computer or were they deleted? How were you able to recover those?
No, those files were saved as attachments in his iMessage structure. So iMessaging is a proprietary messaging app that Apple uses. So if General Norman had an iPhone and I had an iPhone and I send her a message, then if she has iMessaging enabled on her iPhone and so do I, when I send her this message, even though I'm on Verizon, basically what's going on under the hood is Apple says, hey, wait a minute, Verizon, we'll take care of this message. Don't even worry about sending it through your servers. We'll send it through our servers because General Norman is connected to iMessage. So then that message is immediately routed through Apple servers, since it's an iMessage, going to another iPhone, and it lands on General Norman's device. If I was to send General Norman a picture through iMessaging, it would do the same thing. It would go through Apple servers, land on General Norman's phone, and then General Norman would open up her iMessages on her phone, and she would see this attachment, this picture or video that I just sent her. Now, that video is just not sitting there on the screen. I mean, we know that has to be stored somewhere, and it's stored in the attachment area for iMessage attachments, and that's where I recovered these 3 videos from. The videos were still engaged in part of iMessaging, but they were recovered fully, not deleted. They were still 100% active and allocated in Quizneo's MacBook, it's a long day, pardon me, in his MacBook laptop where they're supposed to be in the iMessages.
And did you locate the iMessage conversation? I mean, you said that you located them as an attachment. Were there iMessages on that laptop device?
There were. I think one of the first parts I testified to this morning was when I first started analyzing Brandon Vandenburg's iPhone. During that 2:38 to 3:10 in the morning, I found iMessages that were referencing rape, and that the conversation referenced that whoever was conversing with him had seen images or pictures. When I started looking into Mr. Quizneo's computer, I found the exact same messages that he was having the conversation with Vandenburg. So not only were they found on Vandenburg's phone, going to California and seizing this computer enabled me to recover that whole conversation and the attachments of the videos from Quizneo's computer. So really I had part of it from Vandenburg's and all of it from Quizneo. So I had the whole, now the whole investigation is coming complete. Now I have everything and I can start viewing and reading these text messages because I recovered them wholly from Quizneo's computer.
Detective, I would ask that you be handed a document. It is, I believe, 7 pages in length. And I have just recently given defense counsel,
Yes, you
I
may.
provided defense counsel a copy prior to him taking the stand. They have their own copy. Detective Gish, do you recognize that document?
I do. This is data that I recovered from Brandon Vandenburg's phone. And with me talking about the image gap for so long, this is actually the printout that physically shows the missing images on Vandenburg's phone. So when I look back and I started analyzing his computer, I knew that they went into that room at 2:38 in the morning on the 13th. So I wanted to find out what the last picture number was saved on that phone before then. So I went in, and the last allocated image that was still available on Vandenburg's phone that hadn't been deleted was 1391. And that picture was taken a couple of hours before 2:38 in the morning. It was at 6:22:13 at 22:20. Then I wanted to see if 10:20 p.m. on the 22nd. Then I wanted to see what the last picture after the incident was allocated. And I found that the very next picture on Vandenburg's phone, this is where the numerical order comes to play very important. So we went from 1391 before the incident to 1408 after the incident, and that 1408 was taken at 6/23/2013 at 2:47 p.m. So that image gap was between 6/22/13 at 10:20 p.m. before the incident, and the very next saved image was at 2:47 on the next day. So there was that from 1391 to 1408. That's how many images we were missing in this time frame.
Detective Gish, that image 1391 and 1408, did you locate those images anywhere on Joseph Quincy's computer?
I did, actually.
And could you describe how you were able to do that?
Right. When I started the analysis of Quizneo's computer and actually found these videos in the text messaging, I started analyzing a lot more of the text messages to see if there was any more conversation between Vandenburg and Quizneo about this incident. And what I'd found on Quizneo's computer in his iMessaging was that he forwarded through iMessages, or from Vandenburg's phone, received an image that was the last one. I believe it was the last one, which was 1408.jpg.
And is that a report that you actually created as part of your forensic analysis?
Yeah, it just shows the image gap. The last allocated image before the incident, the last allocated image after the incident, and the numbers in between of how many messages that we were missing or images that we were missing. And it also shows that the 3 videos that we recovered from Quizneo's computer, 1398, 1400, and 1401, were all inside of this image gap of missing photos.
Your Honor, at this time, I would ask that the report of Detective Gish be entered as the next numbered exhibit.
All right, I think that's 42.
I would ask that Detective Gish be handed a 5-page document the defense counsel just reviewed. Detective Gish, do you recognize that document?
I do.
And what is that?
When I analyzed Joey Quizno's computer, I pulled the hard drive out, I imaged the hard drive, and then I worked off of the hard drive and pulled all of the data. And that's where I found that the images were taken. Well, this shows I took screenshots from his computer after I imaged the hard drive, showing his iMessages and showing him receiving these videos from Vandenburg. And actually, Vandenburg sent these videos to 2 different groups. So in iMessaging, the groups can work differently. I can iMessage my wife and my oldest son, and they both receive that message, and they both receive that video. If I message my wife and my middle son, that goes to a completely different conversation. So what I found whenever I was investigating these videos that I recovered from Quizneo's computer is that Vandenburg sent Joey Quizno and Miles Finley 2 of the videos. And then there was a second conversation that had even more people in it, and that one of the videos was sent to Joey Quizno, Miles Finley, Chris Boyd, and Austin Carter Samuels. So these screenshots that I took were from the iMessage platform of Quizneo's laptop and show the messages and the videos that were recovered from his laptop to those people at the time of the incident.
Your Honor, at this time, I would ask, that that 5-page document be entered as the next numbered exhibit.
43.
And I would also request permission to publish it to the jury.
All right.
Detective Gish, this is 43A. Could you describe what is shown in this image?
Yes, ma'am. That's the video that we just watched. I believe it was 1398. That's the victim laying down on the near the elevator of Gillette Hall. And as I stated, this is taken from Quizneo's actual computer showing his iMessage conversation. So once I did the image of Quizneo's computer and got the forensic image, I booted his computer and took these screenshots to show the court exactly how Quizneo would have viewed this when it came in on his computer. So what we see on the left side of the screen are the different conversations So the example I gave earlier was my wife and older son. That would be on one conversation. My wife and my other son, that would be on another conversation. At the top, we can see the participants of the conversation. Since this is Quizneo's computer, we know he's a participant of the conversation, so he's not listed at the top. So we see the name Brandon, which is Brandon Vandenburg. That's the contact name in here. And we also see Miles Finley was part of this conversation. So Vandenburg had iMessaged this video to both Miles Finley and Joey Quisnell. And we see on the right side at the top of the video the timestamp. Now, there's one thing to note here on the timestamp. It says 6/23 of 2013 at 12:36 a.m. Well, that is correct time in California. Remember, 2:36 a.m. our time would be 12:36 a.m. California time. So the timestamp matched up.
And the next image is 43B.
This is this exact same conversation. And the very next message was this video. We see that Vandenburg sent this video to Miles Finley and Joey Quisnell on 6/23/2013 at 2:40 in the morning. And then right underneath of that, we see a text message from Miles Finley that says, "You're going to get in trouble." That was his response to that video.
And the next image, which is 43C.
Same conversation. The very next message was from Miles Finley saying, "Delete that shit." Then Miles Finley, LOL. Then, since this is the right side of the conversation and this is Quizneo's laptop, we know this is Quizneo's conversation that's in blue. "Yeah, Brandon, you're a dumbass." Then Miles Finley says, "Get out of there." Then he says, Miles Finley, "She could call rape, so done." Then Miles Finley says, "Soon." Miles Finley says, "Delete that." Joey Quizno says, "Seriously." Then Brandon says, Vandenburg says, "FaceTime." Then Miles Finley says, "Dog kick that bitch out or get." Then Miles Finley says, "Don't let her wake up."
And the next image, which is 43D.
On the right side, we see the blue message at the top. That's Joey Quizno saying to the group, "Yeah, Brandon, you a dumbass." Then Miles Finley, "Get out of there." Then Miles Finley, "She could call rape, so done." Then Miles Finley, "Soon." Then Miles Finley, "Delete that shit." Then Joey Quizno, "Seriously." Vandenburg, "FaceTime." And it looks like, I think I just read those, General, on the last one.
And I apologize, I should have directed you. I believe that
I think I already read
the
them.
screenshot has one additional message at the
Yeah,
bottom.
okay.
And
So
just to clarify, the messages you just read were not sent twice.
they were not sent twice. That was only once. I didn't notice that. Pardon me. The last messages from that other page was Quizno saying, "Raping girls at Vandy," and then Brandon Vandenburg replying, "You got to delete this text."
And the fifth image is 43E.
Right, now if we look at the top, we can see the conversation has changed. Not only does this include Miles Finley and Joey Quizno, it now includes two phone numbers. One with that area code of 408 and the other with the area code of 678. So when I started the analysis, I found out that that number 408 belonged to Austin Carter Samuels. The other number, 5 to Chris Boyd. So this video was sent to Chris Boyd, Austin Carter Samuels, Miles Finley, and Joey Quisnio. And we can see the video there that was recovered that you just watched, and it was sent on 6/23 of 2013 at 2:49 a.m. Right underneath of that, Miles Finley says LOL, and then we see another FaceTime request from Brandon Vandenburg.
Detective Gish, as you're analyzing Mr. Franzio's laptop computer, did you find any other messages directly related to this incident?
I did.
Okay, we're going to stop at this point because, as you know, we have to get the jury to the hotel and their dinner. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow, Detective Gish. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to have a good evening. Of course, you cannot discuss this case. Enjoy your dinner. Enjoy your evening. We'll see you in the morning. Thank you. All rise. Everybody have a good evening. See you.
We'll be in adjournment till 8:59 a.m. tomorrow morning.